Trial date has been set for former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte at the International Criminal Court. The 81-year-old is charged with crimes against humanity due to his hardline war on drugs and against drug dealers policy. His case is to be heard on November 30th at The Hague. Mr. Duterte has rejected the ICC's jurisdiction, and his supporters accuse the court of interfering in the Asian nation's political affairs. Well, for immediate reaction to this, let's speak live to Philippine senator, lawyer and broadcaster Duterte Marcoleta, who speaks to us from the nation's capital. You're most welcome, sir. Thanks for your time today.
Good afternoon, Moscow. Good afternoon, Yunan.
Hello to you, sir. Thank you so much. Recent political turmoil in the Philippines, as you well know, has ranged from protests over the ICC case against Mr. Duterte to a reshuffling of the Senate. How would you describe the political climate in your nation right now?
It's not stable, in a manner of speaking. I'm particularly referring to the Philippine Senate, when, as you have observed lately, the leadership of the Senate is always under siege. The minority is now taking all what they can in order for them to wrest the leadership once again on their side. So this is how I can describe the Senate and its activities today.
And on Mr. Duterte, both he and his supporters have questioned the ICC's jurisdiction, calling it politically impartial on the world stage, simply saying that justice will not be served there. Is that something you agree with, that sentiment?
As a lawyer, I agree with that, because this is the reason why a sector in our country, including several legal minds, have petitioned our Supreme Court to look into what happened to the former president. Is his extraordinary rendition last year legal? Is our domestic judicial system no longer functioning? Is ICC no longer observing the principle of complementarity? All these things. Unfortunately, our Supreme Court is a little bit slow in disposing this particular issue that would have admonished, or that would have guided future events in our country, more particularly when one senator is again at the peril of being renditioned to the ICC in a manner that the former president was also renditioned.
Some of the guests that we've spoken to on this case, sir, were not necessarily supporters of Rodrigo Duterte, but they said that they felt that justice must be done within the nation, in the nation's own courtrooms. They don't want to see any president or ex-president of theirs going to Europe to have to face justice, to have to face for what he did or did not do. Is that what you're feeling in your nation right now? Is that what people are feeling largely?
Yes, largely our people is feeling that. Because, as I have said earlier, our domestic system must be the one that will try any crime as described by the ICC, because we have our own domestic law. And in that domestic law, it is always our court which is principally and it has original and principal jurisdiction over cases like this, as defined by the ICC. So let us prosecute anybody, any Filipino who might have committed crime defined and penalized under our own domestic law. He should and she should be tried in the country first before the ICC could come in by way of the principle of complementarity. That is my position.
Just another point on this. Moscow recently adopted legislation aimed at preventing cooperation with ICC detention requests targeting its citizens abroad. Is that something that we might see similar coming in the Philippines due to what's unfolding now with your former leader?
Yes, I think our country should emulate and replicate Russia for doing that. Because the ICC, we do not think the ICC has jurisdiction now, considering that we have withdrawn from the Rome Statute. And the implementation of any action by the ICC, for example, the warrant of arrest, is largely dependent on the voluntariness of the party state to accomplish that. But considering the Philippines is no longer a member, how can you implement an ICC which was already rejected by the people, by our government, and look, now, they are now trying to, again, revive something that we have rejected in the first place by way of implementing an invalid ICC from our point of view.
Yeah. We understand from reports that you yourself, sir, are now required to seek permission before traveling abroad. Is that correct? And is it anything to do with your links with Mr. Duterte or other domestic issues?
That is the perception, number one. Number two, because of my advocacy, that the latest flood control scandal, that is the largest, I would say, corrupt case in our country, in our in our country's history. This is the largest scandal and theft of public treasury. And that is why I am very serious in getting to the bottom of all this. And I think this is the only case that all the culprits are really afraid of. That is why they want me to be removed from this responsibility, because it is as if that I am the only one now crying for justice for our people, because this is their money and it is not a simple theft. It is the looting of our national treasury.
Can I ask now, some years removed from the height of the war on drugs in your country, do you believe that Mr. Duterte, when he was Davao Mayor and later your nation's leader, did it go too far?
No. They are only using the term war on drugs to just dramatize the seriousness of our battle against this menace in our country. It is not a war in the sense of in the strict sense of the word. This is not a war crime. It is a government operation. It was a legitimate government operation. When Mr. Duterte was president, he took it upon himself to advocate that this is the single largest problem confronting the country, because we are almost all immersed in this drug problem. So he said that this is the first and the most important problem that I should first address. It is not a war crime. It is a crime against drug pushers.
But some of them were only suspected, and there was a shoot and kill policy, was there not? That
was the argument of the other side. But if you will take the argument of the people at large, most of the communities were saved from all this, and they have testimonies to tell to everybody that their communities became peaceful, that crime dipped to certain levels, and there was a relative peace in all communities, in all places of our country.
Just speaking about what may unfold in The Hague, another case may give some precedence, because former ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda says she was intimidated by individuals there allegedly linked to Israel. All as Dutch authorities, she says, did little to protect her. She was investigating Palestinian-linked cases. To what extent does her situation, sir, indicate perhaps an inability by the ICC to operate independently from national politics?
But the question is, are they supposed to meddle in our domestic affairs when our judicial system is functioning? The principle of complementarity is very clear. They can only come in as a complementary agency. They are the court of last resort. If they found out, or if somebody reported that our judicial system or national prosecutorial system is no longer working, that is the only time that they should come in. But did ICC bother to check whether our Supreme Court, whether our courts are functioning, whether they are able and willing to function? They are all functioning. They are open. They're functional. Then what is the business of the ICC to enter into our domestic legal problem?
If you see the International Criminal Court is not fit for purpose right now, would you like to see an alternative set up? And what would that be? What type?
I did not say that our judicial system is not fit. It is
no,
fit.
The International Criminal Court, I mean.
Oh, the International Court, I think it has no more jurisdiction. That is the first issue, because the country already withdrawn in 2019. They have no business issuing a warrant of arrest, which jurisdiction is already rejected by our country. And unfortunately, our agencies now, despite the fact that we have withdrawn and we have relinquished all treaty-based obligations, they are now trying to please ICC to implement the very instrument that we have rejected from the beginning.
So you would like to see a global alternative to the ICC?
If that is possible, if that is practicable, why not? But I believe, let us first give a chance to the domestic system of any party state. They must operate, and they must litigate, and they must prosecute within the bounds of our own domestic laws, not relying on a global court or any other court, which jurisdiction is questionable, to say the least.
And can I ask you, sir, how you feel the November 30th hearing in The Hague will progress as regards Mr. Duterte?
I'm in a feeling of uncertainty. I do not know. First of all, I am not sure of the legal system in the ICC, and it is too far. ICC is located on the other side of the planet. I am not only uneasy about the place. I've been there. I was asking that I can see the president for only 5 minutes. Maybe I can wave my hands to him, make him know that I was there. If they don't want me to speak to him, or just okay, but I just want to see him, to just check physically how is he after so many months that I have not seen him. But they have not acceded to a very simple request. That is why I ask, what kind of court is this? I traveled 12,000 miles from my place. I traveled to the other side of the planet. I was there, almost pleading to them. Can I just see him, even for 5 minutes? How can I now rely on a court like that when the very human request that I had was rejected?
Yeah, your frustration is clear, sir. Thank you so much for giving us an insight into this case from your perspective. Philippine Senator Rodante Marcoleta, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts, sir.
Thank you, Yunan. Thank you very much.